Ever seen the calmest man in darts completely lose it? Luke Humphries, world number 1, cool as ice, cracked. Not from a missed double, not from a rival, from one drunk voice in the crowd yelling the same brutal insult again and again. Live on the Premier League stage, his armour broke.
I mean, I can't really say the words on camera. They're quite horrible, to be honest, but saying the C word quite a lot.
What followed? A slow, quiet collapse, shock losses, shaken focus, and a guy who suddenly didn't look bulletproof. The man who always let his darts do the talking got drowned out by noise. And from that night on, Luke Humphries wasn't the same. Today, we break down what really happened and how he clawed his way back.
I just had one go. I think it was a Premier League, actually. I think I was playing Luke.
It was a Thursday night under the Premier League lights in Liverpool. Luke Humphries, cool hand Luke, was mid-match against teenage breakout star Luke Littler. His rhythm was steady, focus sharp, everything in sync. Then it began. A voice cut through the crowd, loud, sharp, relentless. "You're a C! You're a C!" Again and again.
Just calling me every time. You're a C, you're a C, you're a C. Constantly, and just trying to put me off all the time. And I kind of looked out to him and what the f*** are you doing? Grow up, you're 40 years old.
Yeah. The same word, the same voice. A man in his late 30s, drink in hand, just a few rows back, shouting like he was part of the show. But this wasn't playful. It was personal, hostile, directed. Luke tried to block it out, but every time he stepped to the oche, there it was, pressing, jabbing, dragging the match into a darker place. Eventually, he turned, met the man's eyes. "Grow up, mate." That was it. No shouting, just quiet exhaustion.
I looked out to him, I was like, grow up, mate. Can you imagine your sort of 12-year-old son, his dad's out there screaming and shouting and swearing at a dart player
And in that moment, the calm that had always defined him began to crack. Later, on Jack Marty's Happy Hour podcast, Luke opened up. It wasn't just background noise, it was constant, personal. I started questioning everything, what I was doing up there, whether it was even worth it. I'd never felt that way before. Then he said something that hit hard. Imagine a 12-year-old kid watching his dad, standing there, yelling that at a player. This wasn't about being oversensitive. It was about basic respect. And that night, on one of the sport's biggest stages, it felt like that respect slipped away. What the cameras showed was only the surface. The real impact happened backstage. There wasn't an outburst, no tantrum. He walked off like a pro, but something had changed. Not in the arena, somewhere deeper. He sat alone, towel over his head, drained, not from the match, but from everything surrounding it. That voice, that man, the venom in his words. It hadn't just thrown Luke off, it had unsettled something inside him.
The negative side, and that weren't nothing to do with Luke, that was just a guy wanted him to win. And, I've had it before from other players, like when I'm playing other players, but you kind of look out and you kind of think, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm up here trying to give you a great game and you just give me so much abuse.
For the first time, he felt out of place on stage. "I didn't feel like a world number 1, he said later. Not in that moment. This wasn't about nerves. He'd handled pressure his entire career. This was something else. It was the atmosphere. The realization that some people don't come to admire greatness. They come to tear it down. Why would someone spend their money, take a seat at a darts event just to scream abuse? He asked. It confuses me how people come to the darts and seem to want to put players off. There was no bitterness in his voice, just quiet disappointment. When the game he loved stopped feeling like a game and started feeling like a bullseye, even someone as composed as Luke Humphries began to question everything. He kept going, kept playing. But something had shifted. And in the weeks that followed, that night in Liverpool didn't fade, it lingered. At the 2023 Grand Slam in Wolverhampton, Luke Humphries arrived carrying real weight. Not just as world number 1, but as the man everyone expected to dominate. His form had been strong all season. His results spoke for themselves. Still, something fell off from the very beginning. In his opening match against James Wade, his rhythm was off. His throw lacked its usual snap. The edge that had defined his rise seemed dulled, subtly, but enough for Wade's steadiness to take control. There was no collapse. No drama, just a quiet unraveling. Things slipped further in his second match against Robbie John Rodriguez. His average fell below 90. His focus drifted. The sharpness was missing. Luke looked like a player struggling to stay in the moment. By the time he faced Mickey Mansell, his fate was already decided. The match felt like a formality. His tournament was over. Speculation followed. People wondered what had changed. The darts world searched for answers. Then Luke offered one in a short post. His young son had been unwell that week. He hadn't been thinking about rankings or trophies. His thoughts were at home. There was no hint of excuse in his words. No self-pity, just a quiet truth. It just wasn't me up on that stage. And as Luke Humphries stepped out of the spotlight, another Luke stepped in. Luke Littler, the teenager who had faced him that night in Liverpool, was now the one climbing. Calm, composed, fearless. He moved through the group stages with the ease of someone not yet weighed down by expectation. As Littler rose, Humphries took a step back. Not far, but far enough to feel the shift. Same name, same stage, a different direction. This wasn't a failure, it was a pause. A reminder that even the most consistent players carry burdens that never make the scoreboard. And to understand what Luke was carrying, you have to go back to the rooftops of Berkshire. Before he was world number one, Luke Humphries worked full-time as a roofer in Berkshire.
I was a roofer since I was 17. I think I stopped doing that at 23, so about 6 years nearly.
Really?
Yeah.
He was up early, 6 days a week, climbing rooftops in all weather. It gave him one important thing: evenings free to focus on darts. There were no sponsors, no big stages, just local pub tournaments, county league games, and hours of practice alone, often in garages after dark. His progress wasn't just natural talent, it came through consistency, turning up, putting in the hours, and building habits that held under pressure. What made him stand out was his steadiness, not any flashiness. In 2017, he topped the Development Tour Order of Merit and earned a PDC Tour card. A year later, on March 1st, 2018, after finishing a roofing job in Reading, he quit. The next day, he made his debut at the UK Open as a full-time professional. His rise took time. In 2019, ranked outside the top 60, he reached the quarter-finals of the World Championship with wins over Stephen Bunting and Dimitri van den Berg, a result that changed how others viewed him, and perhaps how he viewed himself. But one performance didn't define his climb. It was consistent, regular TV appearances, strong form, and steady improvement. By 2023, he had become world number one, winning 4 major televised titles: the Grand Prix, Players' Championship Finals, European Championship, and Grand Slam. "I've got no problem being slightly boring if it means winning major titles," he said. It was less a quote than a reflection of how he played, focused, composed, and unaffected by distractions. By early 2024, the spotlight was firmly on him. With it came praise, expectation, and competitors aiming to knock him off the top. And no one made more noise than Peter Wright. Peter Wright has always played darts on his terms. At 54, with 2 world titles and a colourful career, he's as much a showman as a competitor. The Mohawks, outfits, and walk-ons, all part of his plan to distract, disrupt rhythm, and control the stage. He's rattled players like Gary Anderson and clashed with Michael van Gerwen. Even in team events, he stirred things up, once saying Luke Humphries had to carry Michael Smith. Ahead of the 2024 World Championship, Wright aimed a subtle jab at Humphries. Luke's had a good year, but let's see how he does when it really matters. Classic Wright, a challenge wrapped as a compliment. Humphries didn't flinch. Calmly, he said, "Peter loves mind games, but they don't work on me. I'm 1 world title away from matching him, and 25 years younger. No ego, just facts."
I think Peter loves to play the mind games, but it don't work with me. You know, I'm 1 world title away from almost matching his career, and I'm about 25 years younger, so I think 1 world title would sort of match everything he's ever achieved in the game. So
when they met at the 2025 Worlds, it was darts that decided it. Wright won 4-1 with clinical precision, hitting several big checkouts that silenced the crowd. Humphries accepted the loss with grace. Peter was better tonight. Simple as that. Since then, Humphries has only grown in confidence, reaching multiple finals and showing more consistency on the big stage. His calm under pressure and steady improvement suggest he's ready to take the top spot soon. Wright, meanwhile, remains a crowd favourite and master showman, but also fiercely competitive. His hunger hasn't faded. His recent wins prove he can still back up the theatrics with top-level darts. Luke's rise isn't about flash, it's focus. Wright plays to the crowd, Humphries plays to the board. Wright won this round, but Luke's playing the long game, and the future of darts looks very bright for both. Luke Humphries rose quietly through discipline and grit, facing pressure and heckling without losing focus. He lets his darts do the talking, steady, precise, and unshaken. Not just a winner, but a fighter who carries every challenge with quiet strength. What do you think? Drop a comment and subscribe for more on the minds behind the game. Until next time, keep your aim true.